Welcome to the Protagonist Pod. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. It is time for the third quarter wrap-up video. So today we're going to talk about my anticipated loves of the third quarter and my stats for the third quarter. So let's do the stats first. Got my handy dandy reading journal here. And so in total, I read a total of 12,485 pages in the third quarter, and that was spread across 36 books. And I only had a whopping 19 DNFs for the third quarter. I expected that number to be higher, so I was actually pleasantly surprised it was not higher. I read 17 books in physical format. I read 6 books on Kindle Unlimited. I read 8 ARCs. I did 4 books on audio, and I read 2 Kindle purchase books. I am happy with that spread. I am happy with the quantity of reading, especially since I know August was a very bad reading month, given all the work we were having done on the house. So I've absolutely no complaints. The year-to-date totals were surprising. I've read a total of 124 books as of this video, or actually, as of Saturday evening, I've read books since then. I've read a total of 44,688 pages when I compiled these stats, 71 new to me authors, and only 54 DNFs for the year between January and the end of September. So that is good. It averages out to 13.77 books a month and an average total pages of 4,965.33 pages a month and 7.88 new authors a month for me. So I am good with that. Those are impressive numbers. You know, I do average 6 DNFs a month, but that's okay. I think DNFs serve their place in a reading life. So I don't know if I'm continuing stats next year. They're fascinating, but they don't help me decide what to read, and they don't, so we shall see. As of right now, my guess is I won't be doing stats next year. Time will tell. So, what did I read off of the list? I am linking the video down below of my anticipated loves for the third quarter of 2023. So, some of these have already been donated or returned to the library, and if that is the case, I will put a picture up here. So let's do the books I have DNF'd or did not like first. Summer by the Sea by Jenny Hale was on this list. I did DNF it the second full week of October, but that's okay. It was on the third quarter list, so we're going to count it for the third quarter. Wasn't a huge fan, so it's getting redonated back to the library. And the next one on this list is Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. It has already been donated. Didn't like it. Didn't care for the whiny characters and the holding on to past hurts, and just, it was a DNF. Reunion Beach by various authors was a library checkout. It was a short story compilation. I read 1 story out of the 4. The other ones just didn't interest me. And yeah. You know, I have better things to do with my time. So the next couple weren't absolute misses, but they weren't loves either. So the first up was The Killing Tide by Dani Pettrey. It's the first book in the Coastal Guardian series. I will link the video down below where I talk about this one. This was Christian romantic suspense. It didn't work for me on the suspense level. It didn't work for me on the romance level. And the faith was okay. It was gentle, everyday faith, but it wasn't enough to carry the parts of the book that weren't working for me. The next one that was just okay for me was on my Kindle. That was How to Kiss a Movie Star by Jenny Proctor. This is the fourth and final book. So, How to Kiss a Movie Star it's the fourth and final book in the How to Kiss a Hawthorne Brother series. And for me, it was the weakest of the series. It really read to me like Jenny was trying to buy into the fake dating a celebrity trope, and it felt forced and unnatural, and I didn't really enjoy it. And part of that is undoubtedly because I really don't enjoy the fake dating a celebrity trope at all. So that was a middle of the road miss for me. I didn't love it, and I really anticipated loving it. Okay, so the next book that was a miss for me that I anticipated loving was The Broken Hearts Bakery by Carla Laureano. This is the first book in the Haven Ridge series. This book had a very beautiful moment in it, which I have talked about before. I will link this video down below. This was my book club choice for July of 2023. And unfortunately, this book is Carla straddling the fence with one camp in the appeal to Christian fiction romance readers, and the other camp appealing to clean romance readers. There is no faith. There is no... this book was just disappointing. I was just incredibly sad that book was so disappointing for me. The only book on the list that I did not get to was The Western Wind by Samantha Harvey. I believe it is on my fourth quarter's love list. It is currently scheduled to be read in October. It's less than 300 pages. I have no excuse other than I just didn't get to it. Which is really a lousy excuse, in my opinion. So, the next book on the list was from the library. That was Masquerade at Middlecrest Abbey by Abigail Wilson. I will link this discussion down below as well. I loved this book. It was a great romance. It was a marriage of convenience. It had a nice cozy mystery attached to it. It is loosely involved in a series. So, it is loosely involved in a series. My library has no other Abigail Wilson books, so I'm trying to track them down. I loved this book. I loved the gentle faith in it. I loved the cozy mystery. I loved the characters. I loved the marriage of convenience. I loved the characters in this book. I loved the character growth. I loved the romance. This was an absolute hit for me. And I truly, truly loved this book. The next two I have already donated to the library. The first is The Vanishing at Castle Moreau by Jaime Jo Wright. This was the first Jaime Jo Wright book I have completed. And I love the twisty, turny story of this. I love the gothic feel in Wisconsin. This was a very atmospheric and just lovely read. I highly recommend this book. It was delightful. And the next book I've already donated is Across the Blue by Carrie Turansky. This was a recommendation from Jeanette over at Jane Reads. And this is just delightful. I will link this one down below as well. This is a Christian historical romance. It is involving, the early days of flight and being true to yourself. This was just lovely. It was truly just lovely. And the last two books, I'm checking to make sure. Yep, the last two books on the list I still have. The first would be MarkMaker by Mary Jessica Woods. This is Catholic science fiction. I will link this video down below as well. I loved this book. I struggled to find the Catholic in this book. And I get the whole tattoo artist as the priest analogy, but it still to this day doesn't really truly work for me. It does, however, work as a science fiction book very well. I'm very interested in the next story. If it's coming, I know that she's just recently returned from the summer off, and she said she's working on it on Instagram, so we shall see. I can recommend this as Christian science fiction. It's just not overtly religious in a Christian and or Catholic sense. In my opinion, that's all I can offer. And by far my favorite read of the third quarter of 2023. If you follow me, you are already aware of what I'm about to show you. It is Adrift by Rhonda Ortiz. I love this book. I still think about this book. She is currently writing book number 3. It is due to her publisher on November 7th. Can you tell I'm anticipating this book? I know when it's due to the publisher for the first draft. I cannot recommend this series enough. This is Catholic historical fiction. It is also Christian historical fiction, and it's important historical fiction. I will link the videos for this down below. You've heard me gush about this book all summer long. You will probably hear it once or twice more this year. Just warning you now. I think everyone should go pick up the Molly Chase series and read it. I really, really honestly believe that. The first book is in pieces. Oh, don't fall. Thank you. Is in pieces. The covers are beautiful. And the story is a continuous story. Book 2 picks up where book 1 left off. It is an absolute must read if you enjoy historical fiction, specifically post-Revolutionary War American historical fiction that talks about religion in the setting of Boston post-Revolutionary War. This is just do yourself a favor and go pick up this series. Honestly, you will thank me later. So that is my third quarter wrap up. It was a good reading quarter. It could have been better. Obviously, I didn't read a lot in August. That's okay. Life happens. And We will see what the fourth quarter brings. How was your reading quarter? Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.